Okay, so compound interest. Here's the formula for it. And let's just do an intuitive example to see why this formula makes sense. Let's say you put in $100 in the bank. Okay. All right. And let's say the bank gives you, let's just for simplicity's sake, let's say it gives you 10% interest. You're not gonna ever get 10% interest, but let's say it is 10% interest right now. Okay, then after you put the money in, year after, right? So after 1 year after, first year, you should get 100 times by, right? Actually, 100 plus by the increment of 10%, which is 100 times by 0.1, right? So in short form, that's, if you just factor out the 100, that's 1.1, isn't it? 100. You factor out the 100, you get 1 plus 0.1, that's 1.1. So usually we just skip straight to here. If you want to increase it by 10%, times it by 1.1. Now, bank has many different ways to give you that interest of 10%. Sometimes they give you as a one whole interest per year, right? And sometimes they actually give it to you in two partial, okay, 2 bits. So that means they give you once in 6 months and the other in the year after, okay? So what happens is in 6 months, so we call this compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually. Okay. Per annum, we call it per annum. Per annum means per year. Okay, so we gotta use some financial language here. 6 months, we get this 100 times by. What happens is this: you don't get 10% at 6 months. You only get half of 10%, which is what?
0.5.
Yeah. So you get this. And then in 1 year after, you get the, so now you have this much money in the bank, right? Which is 1.05. To that money, you get another increase of 1.05. Okay, so that's what it means to be compounded semi-annually. Okay, so one more example. Compounded quarterly. Quarterly per annum. So every 3 months you get interest. So 3 months you get 100. This time it's 1.025, right? Okay, and then 6 months you're gonna get 100. 1.025 times by another 1.025, which is squared, right? And then 9 months, you can see the pattern, right? Okay. So which is better, getting your interest like this or just all at once? So here you get 38 cents more, right, compared to just once, which would be just $110. Now you may think that's little, but the thing is, people don't just have $100. Some people have $1 million in their bank, right? And that's not 38 cents anymore, right? It becomes like, if you have $1 million, right? So if you had $1 million, it becomes like this. This is the million. This is 100,000. This is a 10,000. This is 3,000. So if this was $1 million question, right? We put $1 million in the bank. You actually get almost $4,000 more per year. Exact same interest rate, but because we compound it quarterly. Okay, so it does make some difference, right? Okay, so from that you can see, you should be convinced now, this formula, right, makes sense. That the final amount money you get from a compounded interest, right, is the initial amount. So we call this the principal. 1 plus interest, but you divide by like k, where k is number of times compounded per year. times compounded per year. Okay. To the power of k, n. Now this n is number of years. Okay, so the example we just talked about so far, it was talking about 1 year, right? In that 1 year, we just do things differently. So if you increase it to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, this is going to increase.